The way my luck is running, if I was a politician, I'd be honest. Ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, this is Modern Escapism. Welcome to Modern Escapism, the only podcast that has been sued 3 times by the Beatles. They'll never get us, though. I'm Gadget, and joining me this week, the John Lennon to my Paul McCartney, it's Stig.
Hello.
The Ringo Starr banging away behind everybody else, it's Biggie.
I don't want to be Ringo.
Oh, matron.
That was the joke. And you'd think I'd make a Yoko Ono joke here, but no, she's our George Harrison, the quiet one in the background with all the talent. It's Candy.
Hello, in a Beatles accent.
They're not from Yorkshire.
They're from Liverpool. Hey up, I'm from Liverpool.
No, yes.
Hey.
That's
I'm
it,
from
yes.
the Beatles.
There you go. Sounded just like him in the end.
Hey up, Abbey Road.
I am Walrus.
Fucking hell. And our very own Cavern Club, Oodles, can't be with us tonight because he's full of scousers. So, yes, he's not here, he's not well, and the rest of us are hanging on by the clinging threads of our sanity and physical health.
It's the sick curse this week, isn't it?
It is. I had my COVID jabs today, and yesterday, and as a result, slept like 4 hours during the day today to try and get rid of the symptoms. Biggie's barely alive, but that's just Biggie. Yeah, Candy's had the Rona
2 times.
Oh, dear. Oh, got to catch up. I've had it 3 times. Come on.
Yeah, so.
And Stig has kids, so, his sanity is already as low as it can get. Anyway,
yeah.
Besides all that, how are we all this week?
Good.
All right. Yeah, all right.
In the wake of my MetaQuest 3, I sold my Rift.
Oh, yeah. How much
£59 in cash. I only paid £100 for it 4 years ago, so I think that's all right.
That's not bad. It's a decent price for an old, complicated piece of tech.
Yeah. It's funny how the box that comes in is massive, and yet the Quest 3 comes in this tiny little square box.
You can see the advancement.
Yes.
It's like it's like one of those things. It's like it wasn't rare enough to be collectible. Like you get the old CV2, like the original ones that you saw all the YouTubers use, and they go for like thousands because they're really rare. The Rift was like the first really affordable one that lots of people bought, so there's no resale value. So getting 60 quid for it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine. If the kids ask between now and Christmas, I'm going to be like, oh, it broke, and I sent it away to get fixed, and they said that it was unfixable. It was going to cost more. I said it was going to cost more to fix it than it was worth, so never mind.
Nice. Lie to the children, I like it.
Well, gotta try, gotta do something if they ask, haven't I?
Yeah.
Gotta keep that till Christmas now.
Well, of course. And you know who else loves to lie to the children? The provider of our news. It's Biggie with his breaking news.
You may already know, but he doesn't, because it's time for Biggie's Breaking News.
I want breaking news. I want breaking news. I want breaking news. Without your lies, you're so Biggie satisfied. I don't need old news. I've got breaking news. Pod knows I want breaking news.
It's like Freddie was in the room.
I say, come on then, Biggie Mercury, give us some news.
Okay. Microsoft is investigating why devs are prioritizing PS5 over Xbox. It's no big secret that certain developers have faced struggles with the Xbox ecosystem in recent times. The biggest example is Baldur's Gate 3, which was delayed on Xbox because of the Series S console's inability to competently run the game in split-screen mode.
I think they found the
answer. There have been problems in other areas. There have been problems in the other areas too. The studio behind Inotria, The Last Song, Made public it struggles to communicate with Xbox, leading to a lengthy delay. Similarly, the makers of 2D Metroidvania, Hack, are bringing the game to PS5, but skipping Microsoft's platform entirely. The new push from Microsoft to improve its relationship with developers, perhaps a result of missteps such as these. They've said it's all about giving game developers what they need to feel empowered and supported by Xbox, read the blog post. Xbox principal user, researcher Dr. Deborah Henderson says she wants to hear from everyone who works on games or helps support game studios, because if we can make your life easier, it makes gaming better. And most interestingly of all, they went, if you are not on Xbox, we'd love to know why. And honestly, if you're using our competitors' products, you probably have a great perspective we could learn from.
I mean, it's Series S, that's why. They've got to make games run on a really inferior platform. So it costs.
Yeah, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that, didn't they?
Sort of, yeah, but like the Series S sold really well because it was cheap.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea, but it's just holding things back. Like it things will work on them, but it's making devs take longer, which like kind of kills the buzz when eventually it comes out on the system.
I think what they need to do is get to a point where you can install the game on a Series X, but to play it on a Series S, it's got to be over xCloud. You know? So basically, they only have to do one dev kit.
But then I suppose you could probably still play it on your phone, couldn't you? If it's on the cloud, just play on anything.
Yeah. But basically have it so that some of these bigger, newer games don't run natively on the Series S, is what I'm saying.
I wonder if it maybe should have used the S as a kind of interim console. Be like, we'll sell these for the first 2 years of the Xbox's life, and we'll guarantee that all games will run on it that's for the current gen. But after that, that's, once things are a bit more available, a bit cheaper, it's Series X only.
Yeah, because Sony didn't implement that at all, did they? They just let developers make their choice as to whether it went on PS4 and PS5, or if it was PS5
and most of them were on PS4, weren't they, for a good year or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft are clearly doing the right thing. They're reaching out to people, trying to find out why. I also love, Biggie, the way you read that out. It was because the quote is Xbox's principal user researcher, Dr. Deborah Henderson. You said Xbox's principal user researcher, Dr. Deborah Henderson. I like that. I like that there is like a single principal Xbox user.
She's a researcher.
Well, of course, you would have to be the principal user. You have to be quite important. Anyway, next.
But Sony has its own issues. PS5 home screen has been filling up with ugly, outdated ads and promotional art. Sony had to respond to complaints around a recent PlayStation 5 update where the console's home screen was covered in promotional art and outdated news, blaming the now resolved incident on an unintended tech error.
Outdated news? Who would do that? Who would do such a thing?
Yeah, sure. It was totally not them trying to say, hey, can we put adverts here?
PlayStation, we all know. Just don't even try.
It is funny they're not the first company to try something and then people go, we don't like that. Go, oh, it's an error. No, you tried to put ads. You tried to sneak ads in there. No one wants ads on their dashboard.
No. It's bad enough on the Xbox sometimes when you load up and it'll come up, Call of Duty, coming soon. You've got to skip the ad.
I haven't noticed that yet.
No, I never get that.
It happens to you once, like when they do a big promotional thing, like they did it with when Modern Warfare 3 came to Game Pass. You would, if you were in a certain window of time of the game coming out and you logged on, it came up with a full screen. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 available now, and you just clicked it off, and then it never came back up. But it's a thing that they've started doing for their really big games.
I'm getting it. Like for games, I mind a little less. But when it's just these egregious, because when Amazon said that they were going to be implementing ads and stuff, I think we all thought, or certainly I thought, that it was just going to be adverts for their upcoming, Amazon Prime stuff that they've got, and it's not. It's awful ads. It's fucking Just Eat, and it makes me hungry all the time.
Pissing me off, and I refuse to give them more money.
Same.
Yep, same.
Most of the stuff I watch on Amazon actually is the ad stuff, because I just watch a lot of Freevee, so I'm not that bothered by it.
Actually,
you get some mental ads with that. There's a great one on Freevee I talked about a little while ago. We're not me and Pip aren't entirely sure what the advert is for. We think it's some kind of neck massager thing, but it's just a woman just sat in a living room and just like kind of posing and looking ethereal with this thing around the back of her neck. It never tells you what it is. It doesn't give you a name of the product. It's just this woman swanning around her flat with like air blowing in her face.
I think the product might be lower.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know they didn't put a name on the thing. I can't Google it.
Blowy Air Thing.
Blowy Air Thing. Yes, there's a pod title. Next.
Sony's PS5 Pro, though, will reportedly boost PS4 games and reduce PSVR2 motion sickness. Their product manager, Toshimasa Aoki, has indicated that a specific setting will enhance certain PS4 games, and the extra boosted performance will reduce the motion sickness. It could be enhanced performance of titles that support the variable frame rates. It's alleged that the enhanced performance and thus fewer drop frame rates will reduce that motion sickness for users. So I guess there's some pros from it.
I mean, for all 10 users of PSVR 2, sure, I'm sure that's nice for them. The enhanced PS4 games, I mean, Xbox has had that. Xbox has frame rate boost. You know, you can play Sekiro on Xbox at 60 frames a second, as it was meant to be, not that dirty 30 frames a second on the PlayStation. I mean, sure.
I mean, it's all what you'd expect, but for the
price, for the extra 300 odd quid.
Yeah, no.
It also smacks. Do you remember when the PS2 came out that says, "Oh, it'll make your PS1 games look better," and all it really did was just like smooth down some jaggies on the edge of polygons. That was it. Didn't actually do anything.
Like adding that 4 megabits to the N64 back in the day, just like slightly better.
Well, unless you wanted to play Perfect Dark, in which case you had to have it. Or
Majora's Mask.
Oh, was it Majora's Mask too? It's almost like the N64 was underpowered. It's almost like the PS5 Pro is unnecessary. Anyway, yeah. It's not worth the 300 odd extra quid to play PS4 games on. Especially when they just keep fucking remastering them. They get Horizon remastered. So it's just like, wait long enough and Sony will remake it because they've got nothing new.
Horizon rebuggered. Doesn't look good.
No. Next.
Well, it might be worth the money, and I promise you this is not a PlayStation podcast, but a surgeon has used the PS5's DualSense controller in a remote medical procedure.
You've been on DualShockers again, have you?
No. The news comes via a report from Fox News, who says Swiss surgeons have performed long-distance endoscopy using the controller, operating on a pig in Hong Kong. It was clearly asked permission, I'm sure, nearly 6,000 miles away. The system involves robotic apparatus, a magnetic endoscope, and the DualSense to control the device remotely. And brilliantly, a PS3 Move controller has also been used in these experiments.
Do you think it's all like QuickTime events and Guitar Hero type stuff? Like the instructions will come down, you just have to hit things at the right time.
The patient's dead. Can I reload my save?
I mean, what's most impressive is that's like halfway around the world and he's got a latency of less than 300 milliseconds. That's an incredible ping for something like that.
This experiment's success could pave the way for long-distance surgery on humans, with qualified surgeons, thank God, able to provide medical help to more remote locations where it's not so readily available. One extreme example is being able to operate on astronauts in space.
I'm sure that would have extra complications, such as, the blood floating everywhere.
I'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
Right. Just spin around. Hum, 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 hum. Hum, 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 hum.
Classic scene. Yeah, great. I mean, people use gaming tech and all sorts of things. I remember the Kinect was used in a lot of medical things. It's actually better because it was a proper 3D infrared camera. It was better than it being used as a gaming device.
Didn't go down so well on that submarine, did it?
Time of death. Kinect off.
It's because they use a knockoff one, Candy. That's why.
Exactly.
Didn't even shell out for the actual
official.
Was
it a Logitech one?
Yeah.
It was one that. On a slight tangent, there's been like the inquiry in America going on about that. And apparently there'd been multiple occasions where the batteries had died in that controller, and that controller didn't have a USB socket on it, so you couldn't plug it in.
God!
So they had a spare supply of AA's in the submarine.
Everything about that I just wouldn't get in it.
No.
Not even to bob around on the surface.
No, just everything about it just seems so wrong and dodgy.
mean, about a week before that fateful journey, it sank in the harbour. And not intended to sink. They found it at the bottom of the harbour.
Did he get away with stuff because it was in international waters?
I think he get away with stuff because he was a billionaire and he was a bit mad.
Well, that's that, but...
Yeah, next, before I start ranting about other billionaires.
Well, speaking of imploding, the ironically titled Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Season 3 debuts to less than 300 Steam players.
Oof.
Yikes.
Time to cowgun it.
Yeah. I'll do that right now.
But I mean, maybe the problem is the fact that they just use an like the latest season, the character that was introduced is just an absolute Z-list nobody that no one knows.
Who is
like,
it?
Yeah.
I can't even remember. It's some cat burglar.
It's in the list here, I think. New playable character, Zoe Lawton.
Who?
Exactly.
She's a thief, but she's a thief. She's like a Robin Hood. She steals from the rich.
All right, okay.
Kind of gives back to the poor, I think. Something like that.
God, so Batman would have hated her.
But just like, no one's interested in that character. I'm sorry, but unless you're like some diehard comic fan who kind of knows this character, that's not... Why? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, what's the point in using obscure characters that no one knows of to try and sell your game?
I think the devs probably think they're going to get this huge reaction from like the mega nerds. They're going to be, oh my God, they used this little known character. This is so exciting. I didn't think this ever been used. When people just don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I suspect it could also be like a licensing thing. Like maybe they don't have the license to use the more well-known characters from DC.
Very possibly.
They think they would because the whole...
You'd think so.
Well, the whole Kill the Justice League is like, it's got access to Batman and Superman and Green Lantern and all them. Like the story mode has... It's set in the Arkham world. It has access to all of them, apparently. By the same dev team that had access to them all, so...
Yeah.
You'd presume that they would, but... yeah, just decided to pick a random character that no one's ever heard of. And how is that going to sell your season? It isn't.
Fun fact, on the day this came out, 1st of October, granted 11 in the morning, our time, but it reached an all-time low of 24 players in the game on Steam.
God, is that just everyone in the same server?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then by 10 o'clock at night, it hit its peak of 248.
I maybe it's on Game Pass now, I think. I might one day play the campaign.
Yeah, nah, I haven't got any interest. Right, okay, next.
Tekken tried to secure KFC's Colonel Saunders as a guest fighter.
Sanders.
Saunders?
Oh, sorry, Sanders. Sorry. Don't know where Saunders came
Don
from.
French coming with him as well. Now that I'd be interested in.
Yeah.
That's the French fries, isn't it? The
French and Saunders in Tekken.
French and Sanders.
But in the past, they've had special guests from franchises like Final Fantasy, The Walking Dead, and Street Fighter, of course. But yeah, they revealed they tried to get Colonel Sanders.
I mean,
shut down by KFC.
The others make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I know that these fighting games, like Mortal Kombat now has like, it's gone through a load of horror characters and action heroes and stuff, haven't they? But
yeah.
Are they now scraping the barrel that it's going to be like fast food chain mascots?
Oh, that would be a good fighting game though, wouldn't it? Like just the mascots.
Oh yeah, Ronald McDonald, Grimace,
yeah, the Hamburglar.
Yeah,
but like proper like Mortal Kombat level bloody.
Absolutely, yeah.
No,
but
not
ketchup and mayo though, wouldn't it? And mustard coming out instead.
No, I want an 18 rated one. Like not like a fucking cutesy like that Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl thing. No, I want fucking I want the Burger King absolutely stomping Ronald McDonald to death.
Intestines coming out, put it in a hot dog.
The Hamburglar comes in as a tag team partner.
Just like shoving bodies in the top of the grinder and just grinding it through.
Yeah. Oh, we need to get on
Do you think the Colonel would have had a full body, or do you think they would have given him those little black arm and legs that look like
the stick man? Get to find out what the secret flavors are. And it's all like blurred and
Violence.
Yeah, yeah,
Sweat.
exactly. Here's my secret
Not-
punishment: one fist, pain, punishment.
And gravy.
Oh yeah, just drowning his opponents in gravy.
Fucking love it. Next.
Hitman 3 VR studio will lay off nearly all of its staff, employee says. So yeah, this it's been a bit of a tough week for news of this. At the time, XR Games statement to Eurogamer confirmed the studio's in progress titles like Zombie Army VR and Starship Troopers Continuum will still be released.
Continuum.
You see, it's heartbreaking that. Heartbreaking that we're going to be losing some of our incredibly dedicated, talented, and valued colleagues. XR Games boss Bobby Thandy told Eurogamer. We spent many months carefully exploring.
Jesus fucking Christ, Biggie! Can you have you seen words today?
No, I'm not even drunk. I'm just on tea. We spent many months carefully exploring alternative solutions in face of the challenging VR gaming market and a tough, broader gaming landscape. And this is one of the hardest business decisions we've faced. 72 out of the studio's 84 staff total were told they were at risk of redundancy earlier in the week.
I mean, that studio's just going under now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Just more layoffs in the industry. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's also especially difficult to be a solely dedicated VR dev.
Mm.
Which is weird considering how well the MetaQuest sell, but it's like most people who buy MetaQuest buy them for their kids and they're just playing like Gorilla Tag and Rec Room and Minecraft and stuff like that. Like, it's hard.
It's not like they can move over to Sony, is it?
No, but it's you know what I mean. It's like hard to break in with like an original thing, and most of what XR Games has done has been tie-in stuff. Like they did that. What's it? Zombieland double tap game, which was a load of shite. Hitman 3 VR Reloaded has been absolutely fucking slated. It's really bad. And then obviously Zombie Army and Starship Troopers are tie-in stuff as well, so it's probably low budget stuff that they're doing.
I thought Hitman VR would have been like Hitman would have been perfect for it.
You can see, yeah, I agree.
The potential's there. They just did a bad job of it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Was I know they put a first-person mode in GTA 5, wasn't it? But does that actually work on VR or not?
So that was a thing that Meta was supposed to be doing, and nothing's been heard on it for about 4 years. So methinks it's not coming out.
No. Another way for people to buy it again.
Yeah.
Or was it? No, sorry, that was San Andreas. I think there is for GTA 5, I think there's a collection of mods you can do together to do VR, but I'm not sure how well it works.
Yeah. Pretty cool if it did.
Uh,
That's not the only one, because Epic Games boss says the firm is now financially sound following the firing of over 800 staff.
Fucking hell.
Oh yeah, that'll help.
That's fuck you, Tim Sweeney.
Yeah.
Yes.
They make billions a day.
I was just going to say, that's despite Fortnite and the Unreal Engine developer making billions in revenue in the interim.
Well, won't somebody think of the shareholders? Those poor shareholders.
You know
to grow an additional 30% over the next year.
I fucking hate this idea that if you sack a load of staff, then on the profit and loss sheet that counts as a gain because the money's different. You know what would make a firm financially sound? Get rid of the fucking C-suite.
Yeah, right.
I'm fucking
like, how much were they actually paying these 800 staff members? Because I don't think it's as much as a profit they're turning.
It's probably gonna make me angry. How much does Tim Sweeney earn? Oh, he has an estimated net worth of $7.6 billion.
Oh, so scraping by then.
Just as much. He might be claiming his winter fuel payment.
You could say he's financially sound.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe get rid of him. Let him keep his shares. But maybe let him just go off into the sunset and do something different. Because you know what, Epic Games? You store shit and you make all your money off Fortnite and the Unreal Engine. Make some fucking games. That pissed me off.
Well, prepare for more, because ironically, Ubisoft shares have skyrocketed 33% rocketed after reports Tencent Gilmour family considering a buyout.
Okay, so yeah, I've seen this. Tencent are considering buying them out. The Guillemot family are considering selling. Look on the big.
Explain. Who are the Guillemot family?
So Yves Guillemot is the CEO of Ubisoft.
Right. Okay.
They founded it.
It's technically a family business because the family are all on the board.
Right.
But yeah, they've obviously been managing the entire company into the ground for the past decade or so, to the point where they made a Star Wars game that didn't sell, and people are pissed off at their Japanese Assassin's Creed game because woke. Because, women and black people didn't exist back then. we all know it was just men in Japan those days. So, yeah, the stock price went massively low, and there were loads of kind of Wall Street analysts saying, Ubisoft should sell, or a hostile takeover is likely because their shares have fallen so much. And some of the investors came out and says, we have 10% of investors behind us that we want the Guillemot family to sell. And there's all this pressure. And Tencent have come in and gone, we might buy you. And the shares have gone through the roof. Because Tencent, obviously the big Chinese media conglomerate, have all of the money in the world.
And they're slowly taking over everything.
Between them and the Saudis, yeah. So the thing is, even if Tencent buy it, that's probably a net good for Ubisoft. Because it would get Yves Guillemot out of there, and he's a horrible bastard. He's the one that was blaming the woman for being sexually harassed.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a proper wrong'un. A French wrong'un as well.
Oh, even worse.
Yeah. So...
Hey!
Yeah, I know, Biggie. I know. You're the French wrong'un, but come on. He's a French wrong'un. So, yeah, probably a net good for Ubisoft because it would shake things up. I mean, there was a quote from Yves Guillemot. I think it might be Yves Guillemot or someone high up in Ubisoft recently, where they said the gamers are expecting exemplary games, not just good ones. And all the replies I've seen to it goes, yeah, we like Balatro, we like Dave the Diver, we like, all these like little games, all these little indie games that are absolutely perfect, the gamers absolutely adore. Not these big bloated open world collectathons that Ubisoft seem to only want to make.
Just having a look at what Tencent have acquired recently and whether they've actually made the studios better or not. So they've taken Riot Games, Supercell, which have Clash of the Clans, Shark Mob, which are a Swedish gaming company, Voodoo, Sumo Games. So they do Sackboy, that's the British company, isn't it? And Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah. And they've already got about 3% stake in Ubisoft. And Techland, the ones that make Dying Light and Dead Island. Have they made these games better? Or has there not really been any noticeable?
I don't think there's been noticeable difference, but they're all kind of small. Like I think what they've just done is pumped money into them.
Right.
Like, yeah, like, without Tencent, like, Techland wouldn't be able to get Dying Light 2 out and wouldn't be able to get Dead Island 2 out and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's more of a financial thing. I think it's just to have their fingers in the pie. I'm not saying Tencent are a good company in any way, shape, or form, but basically what I want is Yves Guillemot away from Ubisoft. I remember when Ubisoft games were good. Back in the early 2000s. Remember Beyond Good and Evil? It was an interesting game, and it's a fucking Ubisoft one. Or the Rayman games. We haven't had a Rayman game in about a decade. Yeah. Sorry.
I've got visions of going back to Prince of Persia, Warrior Within. Godsmack was just like playing in my ears all of a sudden.
Warrior Within when the prince went all emo.
That's right.
Got his guy liner on.
Those were the days. Stand alone.
Yeah, I need to stop ranting about billionaires next.
Again. Cyber attack on Outlast developer reportedly holds almost 2 terabytes of data to ransom. Red Barrels, the development studio behind the Outlast series, suffered the major cyber attack.
Are you having a stroke?
It felt like it just then.
Don't you point that bottle opener accusingly?
This isn't just any bottle opener. This is the tool of opening.
Oh, okay. I take it back. That's a good one.
It's coming with me to the podcast.
But yeah, the report states that the source code for at least Outlast 1 and 2 is included, along with financial information, HR files, and game builds. It's quite sad.
Oh, that's
They're being
shit.
held ransom for an undisclosed sum of money with a threat to release all of the information publicly if left unpaid.
Well, that's just rude.
Yeah.
It's happening often, isn't it? It happened to
Insomniac
CDPR as well.
last time.
Yeah, no, that's really shitty. I feel bad for them. I like Red Barrels. Like the Outlast games are pretty good.
Yeah.
And also, it just seems a bit. This is the naivety. It seems mean-spirited. Don't do that. Be nice to the devs. If you're going to hack someone and take their HR information, game build, do it to Ubisoft, not to indie devs. I would say do it to EA, but we know people who work at EA, so no, we don't. We want their stuff to be safe. Do it to Ubisoft. We don't like Ubisoft. Or Blizzard. Blizzard. Get rid of Blizzard.
Gadget's comments do not reflect the full modern escapism.
I am hosting. My opinions count. This is official modern escapism policy.
Don't say that, because that means when Oodles back, anything he says, he can get away with it by saying, I'm the host.
He does do that. The danger is when Biggie hosts.
It wasn't that bad. It was a pretty good episode. Anyway, Silent Hill 2 Remake Wikipedia page has been locked after salty fans tried to rewrite its critically acclaimed reception.
Oh, fucking hell, lads. You're pathetic. Grow up.
Outright lies around the game's reception and Metacritic score, including one edit that said the game had received the worst reviews imaginable, means the page has now been put into a semi-protected state to stop unregistered users from making wild, unsubstantiated claims, including one that said Eurogamer had awarded it no stars out of 5, when in fact it got 5.
Oh yeah, what's that last paragraph? It's unclear what motivated edits, although it's presumed to some fueled by the nauseating discourse that the game is woke because of changes made to the character's facial features and clothing. My fucking god.
Yeah. Well done, internet.
What facial features? Like, they've just updated their, from... It's a PS2 game. The facial features are going to update. Like, come on.
I think it's because one of the characters whose name's escaping me at the minute, they've made her face a little bit chubbier. She's no longer gaunt.
Is it?
Which I did mention when we've seen the preview video, but
like Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mentioned that when we saw the trailer, and mostly just because I wasn't complaining about it because it was woke. It was because she's rake thin for a reason in the story, but ultimately it doesn't matter, you know. It's how they've decided to design the character. I'm still not going to get it, but I'm happy that it's reviewing well, and I'm happy that people are getting the opportunity to play it. I still think
you're gonna get it. You're gonna break.
Probably not, unless it gets them to ridiculously deep Steam discount, and I can play it on my Steam Deck. But because I've played the original so many times, to me the original is almost a perfect game. So I don't want to play a remake of it, you know. So, but I'm happy that it's reviewing well, and I've been coloured wrong, and also I just don't want to support Bloober Team because they've made some shite.
It was a surprise
play it. I might give it a go.
Because of that.
You won't play it, Candy. You don't actually like the scary games.
No, you're right. I don't.
You'll watch someone else play it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not the scary ones. It's the hard ones. I can do the scaries. It's just if it's difficult, I watch other people.
But yeah, fucking madness. This is the most pathetic the woke stuff has gotten, really. Because it's not anything. It's a different studio have taken on different designs. I don't particularly like the designs. I don't care, though.
That list that somebody made is pretty pathetic.
Oh, what, the woke game list?
Yeah.
To be honest, I found that very funny.
Because it was so funny, pathetic. But it was pathetic.
My favourite one, I posted this in the Discord, Candy. I don't think you saw it. So this was a website that listed reviews on whether a game is woke or not. Yeah.
Some of the reasoning behind some were incredible.
Oh, they were absolutely...
Dave the Diver it's called woke.
Christ.
Dave the Diver. What did I get? So Half-Life Alyx apparently is not woke, contains no woke content, despite the fact that in other games, that if they have a female black lead, then they say that this game's woke. It's like Half-Life Alyx is literally you play it as a woman, a person of colour. And then, it goes through your Steam list as well. You can see which one. Among Us, because it had pride flag colours.
Oh God! No multicolored aliens in my games, please.
Exactly.
The favourite one that I got was Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Contains overtly pro DEI messaging. One of the characters is black. Main character is saved by a strong pregnant girlfriend. She also manages to fight off a wave of Nazis.
Nazis are the baddies. It's woke.
Yeah, this was another one I got as well. Counter-Strike 2 contains overtly pro DEI messaging, features multiple female agent skins, including female Navy SEALs and female SWAT officers. Viper is more muscular than most men operators. So apparently women can't be special operatives or more muscular than men. I've seen many women more muscular than a lot of men.
Aliens Dark Descent contains overtly pro-DEI messaging. Many female authority figures, including the player character. Most important characters are female. Do you hear that, Candy? Most important.
I'm still not over the title.
There's,
if it's got dark in the title, I ain't playing it.
There's no rhyme or consistency with it. Like you say, one game, this has the DEI, the new dog whistle term, isn't it?
Yeah.
This has that in it, but then games that do have that in, they just ignore, and it's just like this thing is just ridiculous and sad and pathetic, and it's there to be laughed at.
Next, they'll have women as Xbox principal users.
Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon contains multiple forms of woke messaging, some overt and some more subtle. What the fuck does that mean? Anyway, sorry. That's a good diversion, that one. But my Steam library is slightly woke.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, apparently Half-Life 2 isn't woke, despite it having multiple female and black characters.
Yeah.
And being about, overthrowing a totalitarian government, which they're big fans of totalitarian governments,
Next.
They're going to hate Dead or Alive beach volleyball. Okay, over to the world of film and TV. Daniel Day-Lewis ends his retirement from acting after 7 years. 3-time Oscar winner is ending his retirement from acting to star in his son's directorial debut. 67-year-old British actor quit acting after starring in Paul Thomas Anderson's 2017 film Phantom Thread and has largely stayed out of public life since.
Okay, great. Daniel Day-Lewis is coming back. But fucking hell, could it just be more nepotism?
Yeah, because it's his son's film, isn't it?
How do I get my son's directorial debut off the ground? I know, I'll put myself in it, one of the greatest actors of all time.
I mean, I don't think those specific thoughts went through his head. Me, the greatest actor of all time, I'll be in it. But I think he's probably just trying to support his son, isn't it? Rather than thinking, right, this will launch his career.
I mean,
Can you imagine that at the
if
breakfast
it's a good
table?
film.
Son, I hear your film's going to be coming out soon. Is there anything for me, the greatest film actor of all time?
Sam the breakfast table polishing his Oscar.
In all fairness, he's very picky with his. The last 20 years, he's been very picky with these projects. So even if it was his son, if it wasn't good and he didn't think it was going to be good, and he didn't like the idea, I don't think he would have done it.
I still think that There Will Be Blood is one of the best films ever made.
I still need to watch that. I don't know why I've never watched it. It's one of those ones where I just think I don't need to watch it, but I need to find a time when I'm ready for it's like 2.5, 3 hours.
I only saw it the
3
other
hours.
year or something.
Yeah, it's like three hours long. Like it's not an easy watch. It's a hard film, but it's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. I need to find that. Like the time I watched Schindler's List, it's like, right, this is the night I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
and I settled on that's when I'm going to watch it.
You need to have the kids away, the dogs are asleep, you need all your snacks around you because you got to concentrate on this film.
Mm-hmm.
Phone is in the other room, all that kind of thing.
Maybe if it comes on like a throwback at the cinema, I could do it then.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I never saw it at the cinema. I missed it. I watched it on DVD years later. I wish I'd seen it at the cinema because it's a beautiful film as well. Also, Daniel Day-Lewis is the only man that ever got me to watch a film about Abraham Lincoln. Really good in Lincoln. Because otherwise I would have never watched it. Next.
James Gunn confirms DC's dynamic duo movie about Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. Apparently this is going to be animated.
Excellent.
I read somewhere.
Fine. Good.
Some other bumps about what he's planning to do around it. But yeah, animated movie based on those two characters, I guess.
Sounds fun.
Oh, sorry. Mix of animation, puppetry, and CGI.
I wonder if it's like a Spider-Verse type thing.
Yeah, now I'm interested.
They had that Batman Beyond one that looked like Spider-Verse, and they canned it.
Yeah.
Saw the concept art for it, and I was just like, this looks amazing. Why the fuck did you can this film?
Because Warner Brothers don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I should probably explain, if people don't realise, is that they're both characters that played Robin in the Batman universe, just in case people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
I've just got a vision of Punch and Judy, though, now with the puppets.
Fighting Killer Croc.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Next.
Better see Robin Williams as a CGI monkey. Oh wow, yeah. What happened to me there?
Better man, see Robin Williams as a CGI monkey.
Yeah,
I need
to sleep, I think.
Do you need your glasses, Biggie?
I'm wearing them.
I said new ones.
Oh no. Hello.
Right, so
Biggie.
This is the trailer for Robbie Williams' biopic, but instead they've replaced him with a CGI ape. It's an ape as well, people. It's not a monkey. It's an ape. Get it right.
He always described it. I think it's in the trailer. He describes himself as a monkey, though, isn't it? So you can kind of see the confusion.
Yeah.
Also, the ape looks more like Robbie Williams than Robbie Williams does now.
Yeah, he's had a bit of work done, hasn't he?
Also, this is ridiculous, and in my opinion, this is just Robbie Williams doesn't really have that interesting of a life. How do we get people to talk about it and see it? I know. We'll replace him with a CGI ape.
No, I love it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. But there you go. That's the whole point. You wouldn't go see a film if it was just about Robbie Williams, would you?
No, I suppose not.
Yeah, like what did he do? He was in a boy band. He left. He became like one of the biggest stars in the world, and then he faded out of obscurity. Then he came back with Take That. Then he left him again. He's never really been one for like the sex life and drugs and rock and roll, has he?
He did have a big drugs period after he left Take That.
Yeah, but it wasn't like...
That's derived now, though, isn't it? Everyone had a drug period.
Especially after leaving Take That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never been as big and as, we had Rocket Man, and I don't know, Bohemian Rhapsody was not great, but like those, they had bigger stories, didn't they? And I just feel like, but now there's a CGI ape in there, and it's like, okay. I want to see what they do with this.
Weird. The reference in the article, other reviews have also been positive, with Variety writing, against all odds, that gimmick works, distinguishing the project from so many other cookie-cutter pop star hagiographies, if that's how you say that. If you want to see a chimp doing coke with Oasis or getting a fateful hand job in front of manager Nigel Martin Smith, this is your movie.
I do want to see that.
Do you want to see a monkey getting a hand job or an ape?
I'm not fussy.
I do quite like that they're doing something different with a music biopic, because so many of them are by the numbers that they're just terrible. But
yeah.
I don't know. It might be fun to see the scene involving Oasis, mostly because I want to know who's playing them. Because Robbie doesn't get on too well with Oasis, does he? He doesn't like Liam Gallagher.
It'd just be two apes throwing shit at each other.
I was going to say, yeah, probably will be.
That's kind of what I want to see. I mean, yeah, I saw the trailer. It's just like, I'm not going to go out to the cinema to see it. I'll watch it at home, if I watch it. But
maybe Sharon Osbourne can play one of the brothers.
I'm just not that interested in Robbie Williams. I think that's the thing. I like some of his songs, especially like his early ones from the 90s when he was good. And then around about the time he released that song, what was it, Candy? And he started using auto-tune. I was like, yeah, no thanks, mate.
And he started just being the world's most irritating person as well for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Or just going around annoying people, I think.
Did you see all those videos of when his wife was in labour and he's like singing
that was
and
the
dancing
specific
around?
one I was thinking about. I could not be more annoyed for her. Mate, now's not the time.
If he was your husband in that situation, you would just be like, just leave. Let me be. You
open the window and shove him out of it.
Go sing and dance in traffic.
Exactly. Just go to bed.
I just got shouted at.
Next.
There's a weird one. Princess Diaries 3 sets Adele Lim to direct, and Anne Hathaway also confirms a return to the franchise in nearly 2 decades since her first performance in that film.
All right, fair enough. Was it the Princess Diaries? Was that one where we had to suspend disbelief that Anne Hathaway was actually beautiful because they give her curly hair and put glasses on her, right?
I can't remember. I
think
put
that
it in
was
there
the
'cause
one,
it was
yeah.
I've never seen it.
quite a big one
I
for
know
the
that
fans.
story.
People have been asking for her to do one for ages. And then she confirmed on her social media with a video that she's doing one. So,
oh, cool. I mean, I like Anne Hathaway. I'm all for her doing more work. She seems like a nice person.
see that other film recently where she is playing almost like a cougar, where she gets with because she's now in her 40s, she gets with like a young 20-year-old rock star.
All right.
Or mid-20s rock star, and it's and everyone's like, oh, look, he's with this older woman. But it's yeah, but look at the older woman he's with.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just gone with some random housewife somewhere. It's Anne Hathaway.
There's like a permission level on this one. When you get to Anne Hathaway's level, it's you can't really argue, you can't really judge the lad for it.
Yeah.
It'd be
sounds very weird to me.
Be Salma Hayek. She was going out with a 20-year-old. No one's going to complain because good lad.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to age, does she?
Who, Anne Hathaway or Salma Hayek?
Salma Hayek. She just, every time I see her, she seems to look exactly the same. She looks glorious.
Oh, that'll be all the...
Because she's a vampire.
Yeah, that'll be all the virgin blood.
Yeah.
Have you not seen that documentary From Dusk Till Dawn?
I have seen that film.
Good. Next.
Famous AI artist says he's losing millions of dollars from people stealing his work.
Hang on, where's my tiny violin?
Where you put the Curb Your Enthusiasm music in. Yeah.
Yeah, so this one is fucking pathetic. This dude claims he's a famous AI artist. He submitted an AI generated painting to a digital art competition and won. He didn't tell them that it was AI generated at the time. It was only after he won that he put it out, and people have said basically that he should have had his award taken off him. But this guy is an arrogant piece of shit and quite happy to use Midjourney to advance his quote-unquote career. But now he's complaining that that people are stealing his copyright and reposting his art around or using AI to generate art off his art, and he's saying there should be copyright protection for AI artists. I'm like, fuck off.
How can you be an AI artist? You are just
can't be.
You're just putting words into a prompt and saying, make this for me. That any fucker can do that.
Which is based off training on actual art.
Yeah.
Right now, I can click on this. What's this? It's a Copilot on Windows. And I can tell that, make me a picture. And if it's within the, not using people's likenesses and whatnot, it'll do it. How could you be an AI artist?
So this guy is called Jason Allen. And last week he's been trying to register his painting as a copyrighted work. And he filed an appeal in federal court in Colorado arguing the U.S. Copyright Office was wrong to deny copyright registration of his work, dubbed Théâtre d'Opéra Spatiale.
Shit title as well.
Yeah. Allen's primary concern is he is not making enough money from the work. Quote, I have experienced price erosion in the sense that there is a perceived lower value of my work, which has impacted my ability to charge industry standard licensing fees, he told Colorado Public Radio. He also claims people are stealing his work, which is funny since the people behind the AI tools he used to create the work have been accused of the exact same thing. Quote, the Copyright Office's refusal to register Théâtre d'Opéra Spatiale has put me in a terrible position with no recourse against others who are blatantly and repeatedly stealing my work without compensation or credit. And irony dies! Fuck this guy into the sun.
Yeah, there was a reasonably famous band. I can't remember who it was, but I read about it the last couple of weeks that had used AI to make their album cover and obviously got a lot of heat for it. It's do these bands know that anyone can now take that album cover and sell any merch and it's not be a copyright issue?
They clearly don't. They think, oh, it's just this will save us money on getting our album art made by a professional.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I fucking hate this. I also, a rare thing for me to praise the US government, but good on the Copyright Office for refusing to copyright this piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's just the arrogance of it as well. It's not even that, I didn't realise. I fully did realise, and yet I'm still trying to get my own way despite having read the copyright.
I've just created 4 pictures of Theatria de Opera Spatiale or whatever it is. just told Copilot to make me an image use of this, and it did. It doesn't look like his. It looks better.
So the last bit on this before we move on. So reading through the arguments in the case provided that some of the Copyright Review Board reveals a number of entertaining claims made by Alan. For instance, after the Copyright Office ruled that content created in Midjourney couldn't be copyrighted, Alan shot back, arguing that, quote, the office ignored the essential element of human creativity required to create a work using the Midjourney program. By that, Alan meant the court should recognise his creative input into Midjourney, which included entering a series of prompts, adjusting the scene, selecting portions to focus on, and dictating the tone of the image, which he claimed was on par with that expressed by other types of artists capable of copyright protection. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I think he will be.
Oh, next.
Well, on that note, sadly, there have been a couple of deaths this week. We've lost Chris Christopherson at the age of 88, the award-winning country singer and actor, star of such films as Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, A Star Was Born, Blade, and so forth, amongst many other things. And also we lost John Ashton, who died at the age of 76, a beloved character actor, probably more recognised from Beverly Hills Cop franchise and Midnight Run, to name a few.
It's not been a good week for older actors, is it?
No.
John Ashton.
Chris Christopherson had a good run, though, 88. Given the amount of drugs he did in the 70s, he did well.
I bet.
Is that...
Who was John Ashton? Was he the police chief?
He played Taggart.
Yeah, the chubby one.
Oh, yeah, him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an Axel. Yeah, he did look... he died, sadly died of cancer, and he didn't look very well.
Oh, yeah, he
didn't look very good in that film, so I just thought he'd lost a lot of weight, but that kind of explains it now.
Yeah, he's been acting for about 50 years. He's in loads of stuff from the 80s.
He's one of those ones that they pop up and you go, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah,
it's him, yeah.
Yeah, but you never remember
and he generally
what the name
plays a
was.
policeman in almost everything he's in.
Oh, bless him. Oh, that's sad. Right, next.
Finally, over to the Weird World Web. People have questions about a 188-year-old man found living in a cave. The video of a frail man in India who allegedly was 188 years old was rescued from the cave as it went viral this week. The clip shows 2 younger men helping the elderly individual, who's very thin and wearing only a loincloth, walk over some rocks along some steps. A user called Concerned Citizen shared the video on X, where it had around 30 million views. He wrote, "This Indian man has been found in a cave. It's alleged he's 188 years old."
He's not.
Insane.
He's not.
And he's not. According to reports, he's about 110, they think.
Even so.
Still a good shout.
Yeah.
It is.
Especially for someone in a cave.
And then, bless the internet, some people claim that he was 130.
It's almost like people on the...
Yeah.
It's almost like people on the internet just, don't know anything.
Well, the man himself has not provided any information regarding his actual age.
So where the fuck has 188 come from if he hasn't said how old he is?
Do you think they've chopped off a limb and they've counted the rings inside it?
Just sat there on the carbon dating him.
And then the Concerned Citizen later posted, "I'm embarrassed I even wrote 188. Anything over 120 would have been ridiculous."
So he just fucking made it up.
What
What you have brought to us, Biggie, is a news story of an old man being led from a cave, where someone went, "God, he's about 188 years old," and then the internet ran with it.
Yep, absolutely. I feel his pain.
Why? Because you feel 188 years old.
Yeah.
At least you're wearing more than a loincloth.
How do you know? You can only see me from the top half.
Because you're wearing a fucking hoodie on the top half. That's more than just a loincloth, you dickhead.
But I haven't got anything underneath it from the bottom, so does that count?
Oh, sweaty bum.
Yeah, remind me never to sit on your office chair. Jesus Christ.
You never sit on another man's office chair. This is the rules.
No. Right, okay, that's the news. Is it?
It
Biggie,
is, sadly.
Biggie, do you want to go off and do some reading exercises for a bit? I'm sure your daughter's got some books that'll help.
It's been one of those days today. My apologies.
Fair enough. Right, okay, so it is what we've been doing. I'll kick off. Because every time Oodles makes me go last, and then I'm going to do my thing and then read the fucking feedback. So I'm going to enjoy going first so I can have a break. A couple of things I've done this week. It's been a bit of a quicker week because I've not really had much time for stuff. Because I've got 1,000 things to edit and record. But I watched... Actually, no, I'll start with this. I started playing Starfield Shattered Space this week, which is the DLC, part of the expansion pass. Dropped on Monday, and I've been playing it. So this takes place far out on one edge of the galaxy, where you learn... Are you
jumping in on this as well, Candy, or not?
Do you know what? I haven't felt a massive pull to go back to it. I'm sure I will at some point, but I'm sure what Gadget tells me will be the decider.
Yeah, so this takes place far out from the main galaxy. You can warp back and forth on it. It doesn't lock you into it when you start it. Where you are dealing with House Varun, who are a rather kind of mysterious religious sect in the main game that you don't really find much out about. One of your companions in Constellation is a former Varuni. I don't know if that's what they actually call themselves, but I like the word Varuni. And she has some like tidbits of information, but you don't really learn much. Anyway, so when you install the DLC, first time you jump to a star system where there isn't like an active quest going on, you'll get a distress call from the Oracle, which is a giant space station. And it's one of those classic space horror distress calls where it's like, don't come aboard, there's something going on. So naturally you go aboard to find out what's going on, because no one has any sense in space. You go on, and I want to say this DLC starts off really strong. You go into the space station, there's no gravity, it's quiet, there's kind of freaky noises going around you. It's like really set up some good space horror. And as you're kind of exploring the space station, you've got to do some repairs to make it all work, get the gravity going, life support and all that kind of thing. I mean, there is this kind of weird glowing gel all the way around the place, and like enemies keep kind of teleporting in, attack you, and you kill them, all that kind of thing. Really fucking strong start. You fix up the Oracle, and it starts warping. Spaceships in Starfield don't warp around. They don't do grav jumps, so this is unusual. And you appear at the home planet of the people who are the House of Varun. And then it falls off a fucking cliff.
Oh.
It's a really strong start. The problem is, right, something has gone wrong on Varun, and there's been like this big explosion, and people are being sucked into this warp thing. It's all a bit Warhammer 40,000. And you have to help them fix it, effectively. But it's just the fucking same old Starfield stuff, but in a boring way.
Oh, what a shame.
Like Starfield, the quest system in Starfield isn't sophisticated. It's the same thing Bethesda have been doing all the way back to Morrowind. But the main story was interesting and kept you going along. You didn't mind following objective marker to objective marker, getting bits of story, exploring about here, because the gunplay was fun and the story was interesting. The story isn't fucking interesting with these people. It's the same thing. You've got 3 houses within the Varuni people. They're all kind of have disagreements with each other. You've got to do something for each of the 3 houses. You have to be blessed by the Great Serpent, which involves you going through what feels like a guided tour. You have to go through this cave, and it's like the Path of the Serpent, and you have to it says you have to do these trials. And it's really fucking cheesy done, because you walk through and there's someone like guiding you through it, and you can look up and you can see a speaker on the wall. It's like a fucking fairground ride kind of thing. It's not really actually anything tense or, religiously thing. You just go through and you've just got to like light a candle here or burn something here. And, it's like none of it is interesting and none of it's pulling me forward. There's not even kind of any, there's some unique weapons, but there's not really unique armor. There's like a couple of ships you can buy, but they're too expensive for most people, and they don't really do anything different. Like, there's no pull to do this quest other than if you are really interested in the House of Varun, but there's nothing interesting holding you there. It's like I'm about 5 hours into it, and there's 10 hours of it, and I'm just like, I can't be fucked with this. It's like it's dull, and I think it's a real shame because the planet that you're on is actually quite pretty. There's a lot of color to it, and it's a very interesting looking place. But because of the limitations with the creation engine, like this grand city that you're supposed to be in, which has succumbed to all this problem, there's actually not much to it. There's like 3 areas. It's a little bit like it's smaller than the city on Jemison.
Right.
But it also has 3 big loading screens through the middle of it.
Yeah, as Jemison did.
Yeah, so it's like it's not interesting. And because the way the people of Varun, their plotting is all, they are kind of religious fervent followers of the Great Serpent. They believe the Great Serpent will one day come and wrap itself around the galaxy again and bring everyone into oneness kind of thing. They're all fucking religious zealots, and it's boring. It's so fucking. We had this with the Brotherhood of Steel.
I was going to say we've got the Brotherhood of Steel. Do you know what? I went back to Starfield a week or so ago to kind of get my hands back in to play this, and I loaded in, and a bunch of stuff was bugged out that wasn't bugged before. Like my gun wouldn't fire, various things. It's like, am I just forgetting how to fly, or is this actually not working? It's actually not working, and I just did not feel the pull to continue to play. Especially, like, I understand now when people bitch and say, "Oh, you know, it's the modders that make Bethesda games great." Having played Fallout 4 recently with mods, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, going onto a base game that hasn't got mods yet, it's just a brother type situation. Well, but with the exception being now that these mods you have to pay for, even if it's just a small thing. And there's not a whole lot of quality control, so you don't know if spending 10 quid on something that's going to be bare shite. So I don't know if they signed their own kind of death warrant a little bit with the paid mods.
I think the next...
Did you ever play that Fallout 4 London mod? I know Gadget tried it briefly when it came out. Did anyone actually go back to it?
Funnily enough, the reason I got the Xbox controller the other day was so that I could play it with a controller on my computer. So yes, I will be playing it.
Oh, cool.
I think this is a sign that Bethesda need to update their game design principles for the next games.
I think it's, dare I say it, that the main creative team have stayed largely the same for about 20 years now. And perhaps it's maybe time to get a bit of fresh blood coming up from the juniors and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
love Telltale games, you know I do. But it's the same thing over and over and over again, and it's something that worked 10, 20 years ago, and it's not maybe necessarily moving with the times quite as much as it should.
I think Todd needs to go into like an advisory role. He needs to get like his own like special office and special job title. Mm-hmm. Just keep him there, put the gold watch in the corner.
And Candy's spare room.
Yeah.
I'll keep him busy. It's fine.
But yeah, it's like, I think if they'd managed to write a more interesting story, I wouldn't feel so negatively towards it. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not interesting. Like, the gunplay is still fine when you do get into combat. Like, I did a thing where I had to clear out a zealot base, and that was fun. It's still fun to do the combat stuff. Like, the base bottom level mechanics are still fun to play with, but there's no narrative reason to keep me going through that particular story. So, like, I've since flown back to the main galaxy, and I'm just pottering on with side stuff that I never actually did in the main quest, and I'm having a lot more fun because it's better written, and you see the characters are more interesting. They're not fucking religious lunatics. So yeah, I've kind of sad on that one because, you know, I paid 30 quid for the expansion pass, and it's just not getting my money's worth out of it at the minute. I hope the next
Didn't
one's
even
better.
get a watch.
Didn't even get a watch. Well, I do have a little Starfield skin on my current watch. You can't see, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that was that. But then moving on to something I did enjoy, which I won't go into in great detail because Stig's already reviewed this, but I watched Inside Out 2 last night.
Ah.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
We had the kids over, and it's on Disney Plus now, so yeah, we watched it. For those who hasn't seen it, Riley is now 13, and she's about to head into high school. And her emotions are dealt a bit of a surprise when the puberty button is hit, and a whole load of new emotions appear, and shit goes crazy, including...
I love the introduction to the puberty as well, funny.
Oh, the big alarm going off.
It's so good.
I really enjoyed this. I thought it was funny. I thought it was sweet. I was on guard because I remember the original film had Bing Bong, and I'm not emotionally recovered from that. And I thought I was going to be fine, but nah, fuck me, anxiety. Jesus Christ, anxiety got me because Stig was right. They absolutely accurately showed what an anxiety attack feels like.
Mm-hmm. My therapist told me to watch it.
There's a line that anxiety says, because the film is generally about your sense of self developing, from when you're a child to a teenager, and your interests, who you are, becoming who you are. I think there's a line that anxiety says which is or someone says to anxiety, you can't let anxiety define who you are as a person, and that just finished me off. I was just weeping because I'm an anxious person. I deal with depression and anxiety, and fuck me, that one caught me off guard.
Yeah.
But the animation is beautiful. I love that. It hasn't been that long since the first Inside Out film, but like with the way the graphics have gone now, you can see, you get close to one of the characters, you actually realize they're not actually solid. They're motes of light.
Yeah.
And I quite like that because it's like, yeah, these are synapses. These are bits of your brain. And I quite like that. I also just still like when they get out of headquarters in the world, like you see all the shells, the memories and all that, and it's the waves of your brain. It's like the folds of your brain. I quite like that.
Yeah, like the knocked away like nostalgia bits as well. That like old video games that she'd just clearly forgotten about, like still locked in there somewhere. And the sarcasm was
was fucking
one of the best jokes. Yeah.
And yeah, like it's still oh shit, what's her name? She plays Leslie Knope in
Amy Poehler.
It's still Amy Poehler playing Joy, and she is the perfect person to play Joy. And there is a bit where Joy breaks down, and it's just, that's fucking heartbreaking. That's just I would really wholeheartedly recommend it. I didn't go into it expecting much because like Pixar sequels are hit and miss. Some of them are really good, some of them suck. But no, this was a really good shout, this one, and like I say,
I'd say this was as good as the first one. I think that they both complement each other really well.
Yeah, I think they both work as a kind of a two-part piece, don't they? Like,
yeah,
it's certainly of the same level as the first one. The first one, actually, I went into that with low expectations because I wasn't expecting to like it, and I ended up really loving it as one of my favorite Pixar films.
If I think I remember what Stig said last time was that where would they go next? It's almost like they can't unless it was the parents that they focused on, because
I still think
it's still a kid's film, isn't it?
I still think it'll be
the level to do it.
I still think it'll be Riley having her own kid.
Yeah.
Or at least like being in that position where she wants to have her own kid.
It has to skip teenagers.
Has to skip the horny teenagers.
Yeah, because if you want to market it towards
Sex,
kids,
drugs, and
you
roll.
can't have like the later puberty emotions of like horniness and all that kind of stuff coming into it. So yeah, they could skip forward and her being an adult and dealing with the emotion of becoming a mother.
Yeah, because you also couldn't do uni really because. Like,
no, because it's just full of drinking and sex.
Well, but the whole university thing would just be retreading the Inside Out 2 plot. Because it's all the same emotions that you get at that time.
Going from one place to a new place, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it would have to be her in her late 20s. But yeah, I hope they do eventually do a new one with her older, but...
Yeah, job, money, and a child.
Yeah.
Or possibly losing a parent.
Yeah,
depressing though that would be.
So you would get.
Oh, no one's going to cry in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's typical Disney movie, though, isn't it? They all lose their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get new emotions. That you get stress, you get depression. You get all these different things that as an adult you suffer with as well. So, yeah, I like it. And it's just even away from the representation of anxiety, the visual concept of how the sense of self is built. I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, wholeheartedly back Stig up and recommend this to anybody. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's move on to him. Stig, I'm interested in your reviews because I've seen a little preview.
Well, two things.
Yeah.
One of them, the first one, I played a lot of and finished off Space Marine 2 this week.
Yeah.
My overall thoughts is I am a bit meh on it all by the time I finished it. Unfortunately, it's gone down as probably my biggest letdown of the year, considering how excited I was for it after seeing the trailers and everything. It looks amazing, and like the horde element of it, I thought was like really well like introduced, and it's really well done. But I got bored of the combat. A lot of the areas felt really same. They just felt like the same thing over and over again, especially like once it kind of hits a halfway point where you meet a certain character and it flips on from the Tyranids to like heretics and other. And at that point, I just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again.
That's kind of where I am with it. I'm only about halfway through and I haven't finished it because it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's not what I wanted it to be.
And I know some people say, well, if you play with friends, it'd be like different. It's like, well, it's very similar setup to Gears of War. Like you are big, roided out men in big suits of armor with guns and weapons, and you're fighting hordes of enemies coming at you. But I play that on my own, and I just have a lot more fun with it. And I didn't care about what I was doing. Like, I genuinely, if this is kind of like the world of 40k, it isn't for me. I just couldn't get on with the characters. I found their dialogue and everything really cringy and just had zero emotional attachment to any of it.
That's 40k. It's all a bit cringe.
But I've also like heard that that's one of the problems with Space Marines. There's a lot of other stuff out there which isn't as bad, but the Space Marines are just, there's just nothing to them. But it's the constant of just, I know we joke about it and there's memes and stuff, but when you're playing a game and it's constantly just, for the Emperor, these heretics, they have no honor. Brother, the Emperor. And I'm just like, shut up. I don't care. I just do not care about anything that's going on. I really think that you have to have some kind of knowledge of 40k for this as well, because characters come up and it's a big reveal about who they are. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Who's that guy? Don't care.
Yeah, there is a bit of my knowledge of 40k is about 10 years out of date. So some stuff's coming up going, do I remember that person? Do I know that concept? Who's that?
Like,
there has been some reveals I've enjoyed, but yeah, there's some of it to be on my reach.
It isn't a bad game, and I know some people have absolutely loved it, and most of the reviewers having it around 8 out of 10 is probably fine. It's probably a 7 out of 10 for me, but it just, in the end, it was just a bit of a letdown because of, I think I built it up more in my head of what it was going to be. But those first few levels, when those Tyranids and all the hordes and that are coming up and they're climbing up the walls and there's just loads of them coming at you. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, and I'm smashing my way through them. But then it all just becomes like everything's the same. Like, it just, nothing felt. The bosses are. Sorry, go on.
It doesn't feel like there's enough kinds of enemies.
No, that's,
like you're finding some of the horde fights. Like you've got like a load of like the little Tyranids around, which are just cannon fodder. And then you'll get like 3 or 4 of the big dudes with 2 swords that you've got to deal with. And then it keeps going like that. You might get a boss at the end of it where you get those annoying flying bastards. And that's it. There's kind of like 3 or 4 of each type of enemy, and that's it.
And then when it switches, it's the same, but with a different skin.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Or just teleporting Space Marines.
And the bosses just, they're nothing. I just stand back and shoot them. And when the thing flashes red, dive out the way. I think I died 3 times in the whole of this game. Like, I just felt like there's no like tactical thingness to it. You just have to just go in there and wade through enemies. And while that's fun, it is fun for a short period. Like, for a whole game, it's just like, ugh. Like, you could say, oh yeah, well, Gears is the same, but I've never felt like that with Gears because I have to progress from place to place, and it's like the cover shooting mechanics mean that I'm looking at it going, right, I need to get to that pillar, and if I can hide behind that, I can do this and do that. And I feel like there's a bit more tactics in how I deal with an area in something like Gears, whereas this, I just had to run in, wade through enemies, and I was done.
I think your AI partners in Gears are a bit better as well. You can execute effective tactics just looking at what the AI partners are doing in Gears, as opposed to this, where they just kind of wade through. And You're limited on animations as well. Like it says there's like 50 glory kills or whatever in that, but I haven't encountered them all. It's just the same animations over and over again.
Yeah, so it was fine. I've sold it. I took it to CEX today. In the end, it cost me £5 to play for the money I got back. So
nice.
Happy enough with that. So yeah, unfortunately, it ended up being a bit of a disappointment. From one disappointment to another. Joker 2, Folie Deux.
There
Folie
it is.
Deux. However you are. Folie Deux. Yeah, so this is Joker.
I understood that then.
This is the Joker sequel from the 2019 film. Stars Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips, and this time also brings in Lady Gaga to play Harley Quinn. This takes place after the events of the Joker film. It's probably like 2 or 3 years after it. He's in Arkham. They call it Arkham something else. It's basically Arkham Asylum, but it's not.
Yeah.
They call it something else. Correctional facility or something they call it. They don't actually call it asylum, but that's by the by. He's just become like a shell of a man. He is being bullied by his guards. One of them is Brendan Gleeson. They're just constantly like kind of taking the piss out of him. He's even more emaciated than he was in the first film. He's just literally skin and bone, and he's just becomes kind of he's nothing. And it isn't until when he's passing a music room where they've got music therapy going on for some inmates that he sees Harley Quinn, and he manages to get himself into this music group and then forms a relationship with her. The biggest problem in this film is I found it extremely boring. And that is just the worst thing a film can do is bore you. And this is so I like the first film. I'll say that I don't think it's as like a masterpiece and as amazing as a lot of people seem to think it is. But I like the first film. I think that his performance is fantastic. I like this kind of different take they had on the Joker, even though like, is it or isn't it the Joker? I liked the ambiguity of it all. Like when you left with at the end of that film, you're actually questioning whether any of that was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are hints in there to suggest that it's actually throughout the film that it actually isn't real, and especially because the fact that he makes up a relationship in the film with his neighbor. So, but this obviously throws all of that out the window and say, yes, this was real. This did happen, and he's got a cult following now. So he's got outside of the prison. They've made a TV movie about what happened. Harley Quinn is obviously obsessed with him. She isn't his psychotherapist this time. She is just someone who is in the prison, in the asylum with him.
As an inmate or
yeah,
not the music teacher?
No, she's an inmate.
Right.
Yeah. And so the first half of the film is just him kind of pottering around in Arkham Asylum. And then the second half of the film is his court trial. And that's the film.
Yeah.
Half of it is there, half it's in the film. So that's the plot of the film. And then in between all that, there's a lot of singing. So this is a musical, but it isn't really a musical in the sense of a normal musical. This is not a Broadway musical. So when the idea of when this was coming out it came out that this is going to be a musical, there are going to be musical numbers in this, I thought that's quite ingenious. Like they've just flipped what this film is on its head, and it will piss a lot of people off, and it has done, and the box office numbers so far suggest that it's not doing very well. But to me, I don't think the musical elements added anything to this film at all. It's because it's not done in your typical musical fashion, and it kind of begs the question of why they even bothered. So the setup is obviously because they're in this music class, their teacher says, when you want to join in and when you feel the time is right, sing. So they take that literally and they just sing randomly at times. Sometimes it's in their heads, sometimes it's not. They're just randomly singing to other inmates or to the news guy who's interviewing him. And I just didn't think it added anything to the film. Like there are moments, you'll see it in the trailer, where it looks like they're doing a stage and dance show, and it's all in their head. Like at one point they do like a Sonny and Cher style sing along and TV show. And that's where the whole point of like the title comes from, because it's meant to be like shared psychosis, isn't it? I'm just really disappointed. Again,
Yeah.
I just either go full hog or don't, and I just don't think Todd Phillips has the wherewithal or the know-how on how to do an actual musical. And you know, you've got someone like Lady Gaga at your disposal, and yes, she does do some numbers in there, and she does sing, and you know, like even her at kind of 60%, like she is in this film, is still brilliant. But if you're gonna do it, just go fucking all out, and it just doesn't.
I think the thing is, it's such a perfectly good self-contained thing by itself, wasn't it? It really, really didn't need a sequel, and it obviously hinders it. Like there was not much they could do really that could have expanded on it, like you said, without taking that guesswork away of was it real or was it not. But I guess when you have $1 billion selling movie, there's a lot of people telling you that you have to make a sequel. Do you think it was like there was just so much pressure on Todd Phillips to do it? It's like, yeah, whatever, I'll do this. But
I think
I'll just try something.
I think he's done that. I think he's made a film purposely to kind of annoy people. I think I feel like him and Joaquin Phoenix have gone, how like people have decided to take this Joker character that we've created and make that their personality. They it's happened like in the real world. Certain people like they idolize this version of the Joker and think he's brilliant. And you know, they've put that into the film. There are people in Gotham that are like that. And I think they've gone, let's flip it on its head and let's do something completely different, which will piss these people off. Fine, do that. But I aren't pissed off because of that. I'm just pissed off because I was bored. Like, his performance is still really good. It's not as good. I don't think it's as good as the first film. He's good. Lady Gaga's good. The cinematography is absolutely amazing, and the score again is brilliant. You know, like you can remember the violins and that from the first film. Like all of that's back, and it's really good. It looks amazing. I just, like you just said, Candy, it didn't need to exist. I'm very rarely one of these people that go, when people say this film doesn't need to exist, I say, why? Like, it can exist. It's fine. This time, I am generally like, why does this film need to exist? It doesn't expand his story enough. It doesn't take you enough to a point where it's like, was all of that worth it? Because it wasn't worth it at all.
So do you think it makes you now look at the first one and think, actually, like, think less of the original film?
I try not to do that, but maybe I need to rewatch it and see. But I still like the first one. I didn't watch it before I watched this one. Maybe I will rewatch it. But knowing where it ends and how this film ends, which is not a good ending, it does kind of it does diminish it. But then again, you know, look at how something like Die Hard ends down the line compared to where it started. Still doesn't diminish the first film for me. Same with, you know, like Aliens and Terminator. Like I can kind of stop at a point and go, right, that's the good stuff. That stuff just go away.
Just had a read through of the plot, because I'm not going to say a read through of the plot on IMDb. It doesn't seem like it. Yeah, the plot just doesn't make sense for a film. Like, it just seems to be nothing.
It is. You know? It is literally. We see him in the asylum. He becomes friends with Harley Quinn. They start a relationship. He's then sent to trial for the murders that he committed. Like,
yeah,
but it's not a good courtroom drama. Like, it's not like this is going to be a courtroom drama film. It does have courtroom drama in there, but it's not very good. And at one point, he goes full like Charlie Kelly Bird Law, like I say, like that. Yeah, like it's like fucking hell, like Foghorn Leghorn here. But
yeah,
I can look at that some of it and go, I get what he's trying to do. I know what he's trying to do and what he's trying to say about this character and especially about the people who've idolized this character. And I'm trying not to spoil it, but I was just bored, and that's my biggest takeaway, and that's the problem. That's my biggest problem, is that it was just boring. So
which is ridiculous considering the first film was quite captivating for a large
exactly
run
that
of
seemed
it.
to be going somewhere. Like he seemed to be like invested in what he was doing and where it's going and where the turn's going to happen and how it's going to happen and what he's going to do when it does happen. Like there's the build up and there's an anticipation with it all because like eventually he's going to become the Joker because that's the whole point of the film. Whereas this, it's like, again he started as a Arthur. When does he become the Joker again? It's just not as compelling.
Yeah.
And the music just doesn't add anything to it. Like, I love a good musical. Either go all in or don't.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, the people who didn't like the first one seem to be liking this more. So it'd be interesting to see what Oodles thinks if he eventually watches it.
Cool. Right. Thank you for that, Stig. We'll move on. Biggie.
Yeah, just a few things I want to quickly mention before the main one. I've been watching The Perfect Couple TV series on Netflix with the wife. It's a American mystery drama miniseries based on a novel from 2018 of the same name by Ellen Hildebrand. It stars quite a big cast. Nicole Kidman, Liev Schreiber, Eve Hewson, Billy Howell, Megan Faye, Donna Lynn Champlin, Jack Rayner, Michael Beach, Ishan Khatter, Sam Nivola, Mia Isaac, and Dakota Fanning, just to name a few.
Ooh.
It has one of the strangest intros for a TV show. All the characters. Do you remember that sort of like Harlem Shake that everyone used to do at weddings and parties and stuff, where they get everyone to do the dance the same way? They all do that in the opening credits. It's such a weird intro. I don't understand the implication of that. I haven't watched the whole series yet. We're about halfway through. But unless that's got some reflection of the story, or maybe they just thought...
Have you not watched Peacemaker?
I was going to say Peacemaker.
The intro to that, they have this big dance number that just doesn't reflect the show whatsoever, but it's brilliant.
No.
Yeah, but I can imagine that's more tongue-in-cheek. This is like a murder mystery, which is even weirder.
Yeah.
I don't see how it links, It's so strange. The performances are fine. It's a murder mystery. It's no different to any other murder mystery. The time jumps all over the shop, so you have to sort of really watch to understand exactly where you are, and which part of the cast and their past that you're trying to work out what they're talking about. Nicole Kidman's starting to look like a puppet. She very much looks like Megan from that, that movie. She looks so unreal now. It's quite frightening. But she's all right in it. She does what she does. But I just, there's nothing that interesting to really say about the show. I explained the plot very briefly. It's set in Nantucket. It centers around a lavish wedding that's abruptly disrupted by, guess what, a murder.
A murder?
There's a main character. A murder. She's about to marry into one of the wealthiest families, and then there's a shocking death derails the wedding, and everyone is a suspect.
Are you getting Benoit Blanc involved?
Is it like,
and do you know what? It could even have been that.
Is this a Cluedo?
So yeah, it's do you know what I mean? It's literally like, we will finish it because we'll probably want to know who the murderer is after starting it, but would I wholeheartedly recommend it? There's better stuff out there. And it's trying to be a bit like The White Lotus, but it's nowhere near anything like that.
Fair enough.
So there's that. I've been playing, I'm probably first few hours into the Plucky Squire.
How are you finding that? Because I've heard mixed reviews on it.
Yeah, I have as well, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 2024 action-adventure platform game, developed by All Possible Futures, published by Devolver Digital. The game follows the magical adventures of storybook characters Jot and his friends who discover a three-dimensional world outside the pages of their book. Artistically, it's very impressive. It is very beautifully done. The care and attention into how it all works is really cool. So when you play the game, your main view of the screen is an open kids book. Then your character is animated throughout the book, and there's writing as if someone's got the story there printed. And it's very Zelda-like to start with. You get a sword, you can slash the bushes, and you'll get a heart or an object behind there. It's very, very basic combat. I mean, any kid that has probably started playing video games could probably play this game. I really don't understand who this game is aimed at. I couldn't tell you the age. I just don't get it. It seems like such a basic part of the combat to begin with. You'll find like this collectibles. They're so obvious. You can see them hidden behind a tree. It's not like you go behind an area and you're like, oh, you find a collectible. You can literally see the object sticking out behind the tree. It's not going to tax you at all. To get through certain areas, you can there'll be like a wizard that will appear. He's a friend, and he'll say, oh, why don't you go and do this? So it hand holds you and spoon feeds you as well. All the answers to everything. There's literally the written words. If you smash the word, the path is blocked by a heavy forest or a big forest. If you hit the word forest and knock it out the way, if you go and look a bit further on the screen, there's a word that says ruin. If you swap the forest for ruin in the word, it will turn the trees into walls, and then you can find an easier path to get through. It's so easy and basic.
Well, I mean, that was one of its original charms when it was announced. It's that picture book style of things. Reminds me of what was that indie game I played? Baba Is You, where
yes, it's got little basic puzzles like that, but not as taxing as that game. So I've played that.
Yeah.
But the plot is very funny. It's really well written. It's got a lot of comedy tropes there, and it's good. It's really well done. And then when you get to the point of the game where the big villain, he realizes he's found a copy of the book, so he knows that every story, Jot wins, and he's always the winner, and he defeats what's his name? Grump or something. It's the villain, and he knocks you out the book using some magic spell, and then you go into the real world, and that juxtaposition is really good. It's really well done. And then the scene sets like as if you're in like Micro Machines, where the real world is now your area of play. And then you can run around. I think you're in a kid's bedroom. And you're running around there. And then you'll meet a character that says, oh, here's a magic thing to help you go through the world. And then the kid's an artist. So there's certain areas around his desk where he's drawn copies of the book in his own art style, which is very similar to the game art style. If you land on that, you can press a button and you'll go back into the cartoon world to move a little bit around the table, for example, because it's blocked off by real life objects. Then you come back out of the cartoon, back into the real world. So it's very clever. It's nice and looks very clever when they do that little transition. There's little areas that you can go to, little portholes that do that. But this kid's bedroom is like, for example, is just full of actual bugs like cockroaches. And they attack you wherever you are. But it's just like you have to suspend your disbelief because it's really lazy game design. Instead of coming up with different creatures that can attack you, his whole bedroom is just full of cockroaches. It's just a nightmare. Even though his room's nicely set up, he's got artwork everywhere, and he looks like a very tidy room. But yeah, there's all these cockroaches everywhere because it's the only thing they could think of to attack you and stuff like that. So yeah, it's style over substance. I think a lot of people are bandying around.
Right.
And I just think the concept is really good. It's really smart. Any kid could probably enjoy it. It's not taxing when you play it, as an adult. How much fun you'll get out of it is debatable. But I think if they learn from this game, they could possibly knock it out the park if they think a bit more about actual game mechanics, about what they could do with this, because they've got the concept there now. It works. It looks really good because you go back in and out of 2D and 3D world.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Only a few hours into it, but yeah, I like the concept, but yeah, it's not challenging gameplay at all from what I found so far.
Is it something your daughter would enjoy?
Possibly, yeah. I think it's quite possible it could be aimed at that. But then there's references and humour that isn't not near the knuckle, but I just don't know if they'd understand it. So,
all right. Oh well.
Yeah. Very strange.
It's a disappointment.
But yeah, very quickly, the main thing I just really wanted to talk about, because I don't think anyone's talked about it before, is a game called Road 96 that came out in 2021.
Never even heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so when I went to Enflem's house the other day, he just started playing this, so we were having a few beers just to chat around his, and we ended up just sitting down and playing this in one night. And it's an adventure game developed and published by a French studio called DigiArx, as part of HP's Omen Presents, with additional publishing support by Plug-in Digital. The game is directed by Yoann Fenice, the creator of Valiant Hearts, The Great War. According to the developer, the story of the game was, I'm going to say, loosely inspired by the works of Quentin Tarantino, the Coen brothers, and Bong Joon-ho. The game is set in the mid to late 1996, within the fictional nation of Petria, an authoritarian country ruled by dictatorship, undergoing a potentially transformative election season. And you have what looks like an American roadmap, the game introduces you by this very sarcastic, there's something not quite right about her, presenter, and she's presented like a news show, a bit like Fox News, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
She does news reporting of what's happening. And then from that screen, you choose one of the teams that you're going to play. And it doesn't really matter which one you pick. I think they're all randomly chosen, whether they're male or female. You pick one, and then you become a first person in the game. And then you're basically traveling from a distinct point on the map, which changes as various distances to get to the border. And you are basically, it's like a road trip. It's a bit of a walking sim. Candy might like it, from what I heard on the last pod. And you just meet various people along the way. You can either walk part of the journey, you can get a bus, you can steal a car. You meet characters. Some will help you. Some may have ulterior motives. You'll have a health bar that will drop down if you walk long distances or do long travel. You can find food. In this kind of world, teens are looked upon as sort of the lower part of the class system, if you want to call it. No one likes them. Adults don't like kids. No one wants to help you. There's some reference to a place called the Pits, which is where kids are arrested by the police and thrown in there for slave labor. And you can influence the election. There's an election going on in the background because it's set in 1996. There's a reference to an awful protest in 86, 10 years ago. There's big elections coming up. And you can influence whether the blue party or the red party. You could say it's some link to American politics if you want to. And choices that you make influence how that election may end up as part of the finale. But your main point, as I was saying earlier, was that you pick a team, you try to make it to the distance. When you get into the border, hopefully they'll make it through alive. And anything you pick up along the way, if you unlock things like a skill, like a lockpick, it could be 10% extra luck or something like that. That will unlock for the next character. Because if your character dies along the way, things that you find will still be there. It's a bit like a roguelike, I guess.
All right.
Artwork is beautiful to look at. Artistically, it's functional graphics. There's a bit of jankiness. The voice acting is a bit hit and miss. But, I don't know, it kind of just... It had our attention all evening. We took turns with each character, so we'd do it one character, then pass the control over, and he'd have a go, and so on. And we just sat there and completed it. It was an interesting game. Once you got... the timeline is like a calendar, so wherever the date is set in the mid to late 1996, the election is going to happen on September the 9th in this game. So when you go through and get a character to reach the border, the timeline moves along by a month or two.
All right.
And then each character that you pick has a different journey. It's procedurally created, the different stops that you have along the way. So I guess it's something here like... I had... the game features procedural generation. According to the team, the game had 1,482,000 story permutations, apparently.
Okay.
No sort of playthrough is probably the same. It's just interesting. It's funny. There's humour in there. The music's really good. Obviously, sort of 90s kind of rock ballad tracks in the background. You can find collectibles like tapes and stuff like that along the way.
This has got
it's got mini games.
It's got Stig game written all over it.
I did think that when I was looking at the screenshots.
Life is Strange kind of feel to it. Ooh.
Art style, anti-teenagers, 90s soundtrack.
Yeah,
Skateboards?
I think Stig would definitely like it. The art style's really nice. The palette is sort of this lush sort of pastel colours, but the graphics are functional, I would say. It's not the most polished looking game, but it works for the game.
I've just added to my wish list.
Attention.
Sounds good, that.
It's definitely not a game that I would generally play. It's just the fact that he was playing it when I turned up, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, let me just finish this." And then it was like, "Oh, that's cool. Let's watch this." And then I had a go and so on, and we just bounced the controller between us, and we finished it in one sitting.
Nice.
So yeah, it's cool. The politics is really interesting. Lots of different bits and bobs. Your opinions may vary depending on the writing, but I thought it was interesting.
All right, fantastic, brilliant, wonderful. Okay, Candy, round us out.
Two little things really. I had access to BBC iPlayer this week, so I took the opportunity to watch something that's just come out, and that is Myth Country, which is presented by Charlie Cooper, who is one half of the sibling duo that created This Country, which I've spoken about many times before on the pod. One of my favourite shows, just ridiculous mockumentary. Anyway, Charlie and his sister Daisy actually are both heavily into myths and paranormal and all that kind of fun spooky stuff. So just in time for Halloween, we have Myth Country, hosted by Charlie Cooper, and it's talking about the myths of Great Britain. So he's travelling to these locations. Only 3 episodes out so far. I think that I would assume there's more coming out. The first one is about Black Shuck, who is a demon dog from the Midlands. So he goes up to investigate. He goes to a church, finds all these like scorch marks and everything. He doesn't find much in ways of a demon dog. However, he does get slightly caught up in a spot of dogging where he ends up camping.
You've given me a choice now for the end of the Patreon post. Do I put Black Shuck by The Darkness or Dogging by Fascinating Ada?
Why not both? But it's a very cozy little show. It's he's traveling around Britain. He's speaking about crop circles, which is a great episode for me because Wiltshire, where the crop circles be landing, is my neck of the woods. So I recognise that field. I've seen a crop circle in that field. And this big debate about whether it's people, whether it's aliens or whether it's ley lines or whether it's mathematicians that are going out with boards and everything. Anyway, they try and make their own crop
damn
circle.
Mathematicians.
It's not the greatest crop circle in the world. However, they gave it a good go. But he gets the whole family involved like throughout the series. His dad, who's also in This Country, and his sister phone him, and they have these. I think a lot of it is set up. Obviously, a lot of documentaries are, but they have these conversations about the myths and everything. And it's a really good, just cozy little view, and just in time for Halloween as well. The second thing I've watched, also only 3 episodes out so far. Speaking of Halloween, is being a 30-something witch. I've been watching Agatha All Along. Not something that I went out of my way to watch, but I was just looking for something. I was sitting down, I was rolling up, I needed entertainment. And actually, this is pretty fun in a sterile Marvel kind of way at the moment. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just not doing anything. And again, I'm only judging it on 3 episodes. It's just not doing anything particularly new or particularly exciting. So it starts off the first episode. We see Agatha, and it's almost as if she's in this kind of X-Files-y, like detective kind of TV. Well, it's not. It doesn't explain it's a TV show, but it's very obvious that the way she's acting, she's playing a role.
It's like Alan Wake.
So you think, oh, this is obviously they're doing WandaVision again. I don't need to see this kind of thing, although it is a spin-off of WandaVision. However, that's fairly quickly shaken off. Agatha's lost her powers. She needs other witches to attack her to absorb their powers. Anyway, as it transpires, she needs to walk the road, which is it's a type of witch trial. And I don't mean witch trial as in like being burned as a witch. It's like trials for witches to go through to walk this road. So she kind of assembles a merry band of other witches, all 30, 40 somethings at least. And they go and they walk this road. And so far it's been every episode's been a different trial. And yeah, it's fine. It's enjoyable. I think it has been review bombed quite a lot for being woke. I don't really know what's woke about it, to be honest, but there we go.
Woman!
It's women,
and
there's a gay man in it, so you know.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, we know only men can be witches.
Yeah. Quite famously.
Yeah.
There was a run of about, I want to say 8 books about it.
This is right. But there's, I think it's very much, it doesn't hide who this show has been made for. So the first trial they do involves drinking a lot of wine. The second trial involves doing a bit of karaoke and getting dressed up as sort of like 70s, 80s rock stars. So it's obviously...
It sounds like your week.
Absolutely. This is the thing. I think Disney have very obviously aimed it probably at mums to young teen daughters, I think, and it would be the perfect thing to watch. Snuggled up at Halloween. It's Agatha. The character of Agatha is actually really quite unlikable. I know she's the antagonist in One Division, but she's unlikable in she's serving cunt, as the kids say.
She's a baddie though. She's meant to be like. I don't know whether
Catherine Hahn as well. She does that so well.
I don't know whether the show wants us to eventually kind of rehabilitate the character, or whether by the end of it she will just be still the same old Agatha and still be evil. Like, she killed a dog. In One Division. She's bad.
They've made her out to be the likable character, although her evilness is just extreme sassiness.
Yeah.
But she hasn't killed any dogs.
That's pretty evil.
But I think it's fun. It's fine. It's just it's not great Marvel, but there hasn't been great Marvel in a while, I don't think.
I think it's something a little bit different, at least. It's not like
it's not
exactly. Superhero. Like, it's just something that's technically it's part of the MCU, but it's not. It's its own thing. It doesn't affect the overall big story they're telling. It's just people like this character. There are books and comics on this character. Let's do something with her, and that's what they've done.
It's a standalone Halloween romp. It's kind of echoes of Hocus Pocus type thing. If you're going, that's the kind of tone.
It's got very Hocus Pocus feel to it.
Yeah,
I suppose it was always going to be hard to follow up One Division anyway, because that was quite spectacular.
Yeah, and
for the most part anyway.
I enjoyed One Division. I know a lot of people didn't, but I enjoyed it. But it is a departure, regardless of the intro, regardless of the first half hour of the first episode.
That kind of follows on from where Wanda's left it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, is that everything? Everyone good?
Yes.
You all done? Marvellous. Right, on to the feedback. So, who have we had? Xenos has been in and said, I've been playing more Echoes of Wisdom. I've just made it to the second major rift. That's the new Zelda game, yeah? I've also been getting back into Warhammer 40,000 Darktide this week. That's the Left 4 Dead one, if anyone's forgotten, because it's been a while since it came up. I was having some real issues with Darktide when I first played it, mostly incredibly slow load times, as in taking multiple minutes to get to character selection or load into a mission. And my new solid-state drive has fixed that entirely. Oh, Biggie, you missed this last week. Xenos has got an SSD. We assumed you got a random boner, just didn't understand where it came from. So he said, just got to persuade a bunch of my friends to get back into it now, so I've got someone to play with. In Echoes of Wisdom, I've been exploring the Gerudo Desert and have discovered the wonders of an Octorok firing squad. Jesus Christ. You wouldn't think there'd be much use here, but it turns out they work fine out of water. They just can't move around. Or to put it another way, they're turret guns and I can have 4 of them firing at once. Maybe not the most practical solution to my problems, but definitely entertaining. Alright then. Gerudo Desert's always where the Zelda games get weird anyway.
Yeah.
Like in Breath of the Wild, it's where you have to dress up and end up as Femboy Link, which inspired a whole lot of Rule 34 on the internet.
It's a great archery section in Ocarina of Time.
You had to dress up as a woman in Breath of the Wild, and no one noticed that you weren't 7.5 feet tall like the other Gerudians.
They are handsome women.
They're very handsome women, but Link is not their height.
No.
So they're walking in and goes, "Hello, fellow woman."
I've heard that.
What a day it is to have menstruation.
I've heard that the new Zelda game is slightly broken because of the bed.
The bed.
So they have charms, basically. That's what the whole echoes are. Like, you can, and there's something like 150 of them. Like, they all do different things. And they help you. Like, how do I get over this obstacle? Oh, I can use this. I can do that. This. Apparently, people are just using the bed because the bed means that you can just summon the bed and you can sleep in it and it recovers all your health. But also, you can stack them, and so you can just use it like a ladder to get over things. And people, so apparently, a bed has become the most used tool in the game.
I love it. That's brilliant. Next up, Bobby Wayne said, "Hello, compadres. This week has been a real stinker. My shifts have been all over, my sleep has been hectic, and to top it off, I've had some car troubles."
Ugh.
Oh dear.
Car troubles
What
suck.
a bit of a shitty week, haven't we? One of the brake lines on my car split and needed replacing, and being the typical Yorkshireman I am, I decided to have a go at myself rather than pay a garage. You're a braver man than me, Bobby. Many hours of twisting, cutting, and manipulating some tubing to fit, I had to admit defeat and call in the big guns. My dad, Barry the mechanic.
Big Bass.
I assume Barry has a theme tune. It's like a fanfare of horns or something A-Team style. So I wonder, have you ever started a task that you had some confidence in only to find it was tougher than you thought? That moment where you sit there and look at your work like Homer Simpson looking at his barbecue, just completely threw in the towel. I had it once when the intake pipe in my toilet broke, and it was when I owned my own house, but I was poor as fuck and couldn't afford a plumber. I thought, I know what to do. I just need to replace the bit that pulls the water in. So I went to turn off the water in the house, went to B&Q, bought one, brought it back. It was the wrong fucking size. Went back to B&Q, came back, got one with the right size. But then it turns out the toilet had been installed in a really dodgy way 35 years earlier, and I ended up stripping the thread on it. Water was everywhere. It was midnight. I was really fucking cold, so I went on Rated People and got an emergency plumber and just paid for it on a credit card.
Oh.
This poor guy comes out at 1 a.m. and just like cuts the pipe, puts an extension in, and then puts another one in, and he's done it in like 10 minutes. I'm sat there like a sopping wet cat going, "Thank you."
That's £25,000. Thanks very much.
Yeah. I was at that point where I would have paid with a kidney to get this done. I'd been at it for 12 fucking hours trying to sort it out.
Oh, dear.
I think for me it was, do you remember they did the, when Fallout 76 came out, they did the replica Pip-Boy, but you had to build the whole thing yourself.
It was a kit, yeah.
Which was extremely fun, but it took me a very, very long time. And I think there was moments halfway through, it's like, I can't fucking do this. And I'm pretty good at building stuff and putting things together, especially like creative things. And like, you know, I do my own DIY and it's normally fine. But this was a fiddly little beast. Because it's not even like the things didn't come pre-assembled at all. So even like the smallest little wires, you had to get your little
sounds like the game.
In. Yeah, exactly. Fiddly little beast. Every little sticker you had to stick on yourself. Every wire you had to stick on yourself. It's just like, oh, it's fiddly. But like, ultimately, I did it in the end, and I felt a great sense of accomplishment. But fuck me. I should have just bought one.
I almost bought that kit as well. I'm glad I didn't now.
I think
you'll enjoy it if you do it, but just be prepared.
for me it was last year doing the one I can remember off the top of my head was redecorating Amelia's bedroom, and I took the radiator off the wall and I was like, right, I need to this radiator it's hung on this like wall underneath the window, and it's just made out of fucking paper, old shitty council houses. So I was like, right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this stronger. So I'm going to cut a hole in the wall. I'm gonna put a piece of wood behind it. I'm gonna screw it into the wood. It's gonna I'm gonna patch it in, and it's gonna hang off that, and it'll be more sturdy, and it won't be like hanging off plasterboard. It'll be hanging off the wood behind it. Did the left side, absolutely bodged the shit out of it. Did not go the way I thought it was going to go in my head. Eventually got this piece of wood in and secured it, plastered over it all, and then the other side I just admitted defeat and just used a lot of glue instead. So it's patched up. It looks a bit shit. I've painted over, but the radiator is covering it over. You can't see. One side is like drilled and screwed into this wood. The other side I just got like on the actual hanger, it's just no nails and more screws in the wall, but you can't see it. It's behind the radiator, and I'll deal with it whenever I have to take that radiator off and redecorate one day.
You won't. You'll take the radiator off, remember your work, and then bodge it all back up again and put a radiator in front of it.
Yeah, probably.
I hate DIY. Whenever I get things like flat pack stuff, and you open it all up and you get the instructions out, and there's no words, it's just diagrams, lines, and a million different numbers for all the parts, and then I sort of stare out the window for a few minutes and I watch seasons go past because I decide to start on it. It's just, I just get this little mini panic attack.
That's how I felt
I just get a panic attack
until recently. Like, I quite enjoy doing flat pack, but when you've done weeks of flat pack and nothing else, it does get a bit. But yeah, it gets a bit.
Don't get me wrong. There's some simple cabinets you can put together in like 10 minutes, but it's those more complicated ones that have, when you get like a big rubbish bag of like screws and parts, and then you're just like, what is this?
Yeah, the TV cabinet that me and Asapel put together, that she thankfully gave me a hand with, even though it was just laying stuff, because I work alone. I don't work in a team. However, I could do with people handing me stuff. We got about 2 hours into that, and nothing went wrong, but Jesus Christ, it went on. We both had to have a bit of a lie down in the middle of this empty living room, just lie on our backs, be like, we're never going to get this done.
All right, moving on. Lee Davies has said, "Hello, modern escapees. I finished watching Rings of Power Season 2. I mean, Stig did that this week as well, actually. Oh, and Biggie. I have to say I've enjoyed it very much, better than Series 1 in most ways. Agreed. Particularly the stuff with Celebrimbor and Anatar, brackets, Sauron. I do have a negative, though. I'm absolutely sick of them having characters that we don't know who they are. With Season 1 trying to have both Sauron and the Stranger be a mystery, now we have that other wizard who they're being all coy about naming. I feel like it's a cynical way to drum up debates on social media. Roll on Season 3.
It's clearly Saruman.
Yeah.
Old friend. You kept calling him old friend. It's like, come on.
Is he a dark wizard or a white wizard?
Yeah.
Wearing white robes. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed Rings of Power Season 2. The fucking last episode was superb.
Yeah.
So fucking good. How can people not like this show? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Although,
and they said when the Season 3's like going to be sort of in production, or I assume there's going to be another one.
Well, yeah, it landed on a bit of a cliffhanger.
I really hope that they...
You know how these things work.
Yeah, I know, but I really hope they can film Season 3 and 4 back to back. I'm sick of waiting 2 years.
Yeah.
Film them two back to back,
Well,
and then when Season 3's out, jump onto Season 5, so then you can go 3, 4, and 5 a year after each other and not fucking 2 years.
This one was only delayed because of the actors and the writers' strike.
Oh, but everything's 2 years these days.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was great. Apart from Morpeth Clark, she seems to have lost the ability to act. I don't think she was very good in those climactic scenes when she was in the most amount of danger. You'd think she'd be a bit more intense about it. Anyway, we'll save that for the spoiler cast. Last up, Kurt Lewin, best boy. This week I've been playing Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Enjoying it so far. You can tell it takes some influence from the last two Zelda games with how there are different approaches and different puzzles and situations. Most importantly, it has some great dungeon design too, which the last two Zeldas lacked due to not having any major dungeons. I assume you talk about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I also started watching The Shield again from Season 4. I was gutted when it got pulled from Amazon Prime, but now it's on Sky, so I've been watching it there. It's one of my favourite shows, and while Season 4 is probably the weakest from what I've seen so far, it's still pretty good.
Shield's incredible. Absolutely love it. It's one of those...
I've never seen it.
One of those real slept-on shows because everyone just goes on about The Wire and Sopranos that were on at the same time, which is fair. Them two are brilliant as well, but it meant that Shield kind of didn't get a... And we never got it over here. That was the problem. Like, it didn't come over here. Like, when it was on in America, we didn't get it, like 6 months later or anything. It took ages.
Yeah, I got it on DVDs.
It took ages to come over here. Yeah. But yeah, it's worth checking out. It's proper good. Tell you what, actually, if you like The Shield, then you should watch... I forgot the name of the fucking show now. I'll come back to it.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to remember what it's called
South
now.
Park?
No. I'll tell you in a sec.
All right. Well, now that feedback's done, we usually take this point of the podcast to talk about how you can get in contact with us and how you can enjoy our future endeavours going forward. And that's via Patreon. Get onto our Patreon. £5 plus VAT a month gets you the Modern Escapees tier, where you get an extra extended episode of this show. Yes, after we finish talking here, we rattle on for another half an hour in the green room about anything in particular, usually some questions that we've been given or whatever Biggie's sexual proclivities are of the week. The thing he did with the ducks 2 weeks ago was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely. But yes, you can get it. So it's patreon.com/modern escapism. You can also join our Discord and get in with the random chatter that we've got on there. It's also disgusting in there. There are certain people in there that do awful things
Stop
to food.
putting people off.
It's disgusting in the fun way. There are a bunch of wrongins in there, and if that's your vibe, you'll really enjoy it. Now this is not.
We're quite well behaved in there, to be fair.
Yeah. Next week we're recording early because we'll be at the Podcastle next weekend.
We're going to be able to touch each other.
Yeah. And do disgusting things in a hot tub. We're going to ruin that hot tub. It's going to be utterly destroyed. We'll have to condemn it. So if you want to get in feedback on what you've been doing, it's Friday we're recording it. So, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, get them in quick.
And don't deliver it at 8 o'clock.
Is that in relation to anyone in particular there, Biggie?
I'm not pointing out any names.
No.
They know who they are.
They do, clearly. Anyway, yes, so we'll be at the podcast, so we'll be live. It'll sound different. Oodles will be around touching people. We'll all be drunk, because we all use the podcast as a very exclusive drinking weekend. A very extreme drinking weekend. There's so much stuff to plan, so many things to bring, and I'm really stalling time here because it's supposed to be Candyland next, but Candy's wandered off for a poo. I assume she's wandered off for a poo. She doesn't normally disappear for this long.
Well,
maybe she got lost in her new place.
Just so you know, the show is called Southland.
Southland.
It's very good. It is about 4 or 5 seasons long. It's about the lives of police officers working in LA Police Department, but it's got some really great actors. It's got Regina King in it, Michael Cudlitz, Benjamin Kenzie.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's got.
I've missed all this. Thank you.
You'll really like it, Biggie. Actually, it's really gritty. Like if you enjoyed The Shield, it's got that kind of same feel to it.
Perfect.
Just not about corrupt cops.
It's all right.
Well, now that we've got that out of the way, we've done the Patreon shilling, we've talked about the podcast, and Candy's back from a poo. It's time for a trip down to Candyland.
And now, what's up in Candyland?
Yes, thank you. It's rather an excellent poo. I want to talk this week about final words. You're there on your deathbed. You know your time's come. Do you think there's people that have said something really kind of really jaw-dropping, really astounding, and then they've been like, I can't say anything now until I die. I'm going to have to remain mute for the rest of my life, no matter how long or short, because I want that to be my final words? Or do you think they've said something incredible like that, and then they've had to ask a nurse, can you help me to the commode, and be like, no, wait, shit, and just died, and be like, oh, bollocks.
I mean,
Maybe they misheard their final quote. He's misheard by the family.
Yeah.
I do hope my final words are, oh shit, no, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know,
behind you.
We talked about it the other week, but Fat Man Scoop's last words were "make some noise" while he was on stage, and I just thought, bless him. Obviously, he passed away, but it's just that was his job. He was a hype man. He was a DJ, and he used to say stuff like that all the time. And his last words were to hype up the crowd.
Do you think I think you probably know death might be around the corner. If you're still have enough capacity, I would maybe leave a riddle or something, or make out that I knew some kind of incredible secret, and then just try and time it right, or even just pretend to die and then just stay in that position until I actually did.
In the
yeah. But then you'd have to just stay like that, wouldn't you, for ages?
The Maltese Falcon is in a safe. The code is 06. Yeah.
I'm looking at here through the most memorable last words of all time. What do you Karl Marx? Get out. Last words for fools who have not said enough. A woman who can fart is not dead. French nun Louise Marie.
Did she fart after saying that?
I don't know. It's just after letting one rip right before her death, Louise decided that a woman who cannot fart is surely still kicking. So yeah, Apparently, she let out one massive fart and then died.
I'd love that. For my final words, I'd love it to be pull my finger. And then somebody pulled it and you just died. That's the ultimate pull my finger, isn't it?
Fucking hell.
Winston Churchill's was I'm bored with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. Yeah, just fucking hell. Yeah. Just I'm trying to see if there's anything else on there, but
You get them to lean closer and try and say something when they get really close. Closer. When they get really closer, then you just go, cunt.
Joan Crawford said, "Damn it, don't you dare ask God to help me."
That's pretty epic.
I think I would, if I knew I was going to die, I would take that time to just repent my sins, just in case.
Yeah, but then I think I'd feel like, am I taking the piss now just by trying? Like,
don't care. Apparently, if you
just go with it.
if you repent your sins, it's all good. So
yeah, this is true.
Just in case,
supposedly.
I quite like the idea of heaven over hell. So
it sounds probably a bit better, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah. But being tortured for the rest of eternity, or a life of luxury. Just in case. Just
take it in a different direction if you want it.
Oh, go on.
I was there at my dad's side when he passed away with the rest of us. And he had that awful death rattle cough thing going on. He had lung cancer, and this is when he passed away. But at his very final moment, he sat up briefly and reached out. There was a window right opposite where he was in the hospice. And he reached out towards it as if he was reaching for something. And one single tear came out of his eye. And then he passed away.
Oh, wow.
So you do wonder if, that thing they say, go towards the light and something. Maybe that was the last thing that he saw. You don't know, because you can ask him.
A lot of of nurses in nursing homes and stuff, a lot of them say that they'll find people just before they pass speaking to family members that are no longer with us. So
you do wonder, don't you?
Funny thing, isn't it?
What would you have done if it just said, avenge me? And then died.
That's going to be my final words.
Ow, you're leaning on my leg.
I told you I was sick.
Another Skywalker.
Order 66.
Yeah, only you would start a genocide as you die, Biggie. Not live around to witness the circumstances of it.
I get it wrong, like I'm ordering a Chinese or something.
But I don't like Kung Pao chicken.
And the Jedi are still alive. Oh, fantastic. Well, that was a weirdly somber way to end things, and then piss-taking. Anyway, yes, we're going to cowgun this podcast here because we've been on this for far too long. So thank you all for listening. If you're a patron, you're going to get the green room next, and listen next week because you'll hear us all in person and lots of touchy. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Because I'm a host now, I've taken the intro format from Scorched Sheep, so we're going with that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Last time on Modern Escapism.
You should do that bit.